This is our homily for Sunday, September 21st, the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Dan was a single guy living at home with his father and working in the family business. When he found out that he was going to inherit a fortune when his sickly father died, he decided he needed a wife with whom to share his fortune. One evening at an investment meeting, he spotted the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her natural beauty took his breath away. He said to her, "I might look like just an ordinary man, but in a very short time, my father will die, and I'll inherit $20 million, end quote. Impressed, the woman obtained his business card, and 3 weeks later, she became his stepmother. That lady was as crafty as the steward in our gospel, who won favor for himself by giving the owner's debtors a big break. The theme of the readings today is stated very clearly at the end of the gospel. Quote, "No servant can serve two masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." Both the first reading and the gospel talk about how cunning and inventive people can be when they're hooked on money. In the first reading, Amos is predicting the fall of the northern kingdom. Why? They trample upon the needy and destroy the poor of the land. He lists how they cheat and ends up with very strong words. The Lord has sworn by the pride of Jacob, never will he forget a thing that they have done. The gospel's a little confusing because Jesus praises the evil craftiness of the bad steward to make the point that we must use the same craftiness to be good stewards. It was obviously confusing to the early church also because Luke adds an explanation to make it clear. That is, we must use our ingenuity, our craftiness, to be good stewards of what God has given us. What does it mean to be a good steward? What is a steward? A steward is a person whose job is to manage the land and property of another person. In the sense of our readings, bad stewards come to see themselves as the owner. They view their reality as owning the things they have. They are bad stewards because they're hoarding and thinking of themselves. Good stewards remember that they're not owners, but managers of the gifts given them, as God has given us the gifts of time, talent, opportunities, intelligence, education, health, and so on. This is not a question of whether or not we got our gifts honestly. It's presumed that we've been honest. But then, how do we view them? As ours, or as something God has given me for my good and the good of others? Are we accumulating more and more for ourselves, or are we sharing with others? Two examples of what we're talking about are Francis of Assisi, who spent his life serving others, especially the poor, when he started out as a member of a wealthy, powerful family. And more recently, Alfred Nobel, who used his wealth from inventing dynamite to establish the Nobel Prize to be given each year to the person or persons who do the most for the cause of world peace. God has given all of us many gifts. I ask each member of the community to make sure that you're using one of those gifts for the good of this community. There are councils, commissions, and committees that can always use new members. Our liturgy needs altar servers. Anyone who has reached the age anyone of the age who has received First Communion is eligible, and hospitality ministers. Often we don't have any or enough, especially for acolytes and hospitality ministers at the 4:30 Mass. Other liturgical ministries are lecturing, distributing communion, singing in the choir, being a cantor. There will be a ministry fair this coming weekend after Masses. Please consider signing up for one or more ministries. And remember, you will always have control on when you will be scheduled. I invite you this week to reflect on the many gifts God has given you, not just things, but family, education, skills, opportunities. Do I own them as only mine, or do I see them as gifts from God that I should use, not only for myself, but for others? I ask you, please, to support our community in at least one ministry. I repeat a church sign of the week, which I used once at the end of a reflection in the bulletin, and that is, God has given us two hands, one to receive, the other to give with. God bless.